They said her story was over, her dreams were broken, her hope was gone, and her smile had disappeared. But little did they know that sometimes, when everything ends, that's when life quietly begins again. This is the story of Era, a girl who lost everything she loved, only to find something far greater within herself. Era grew up in a small town surrounded by mountains. She loved painting. Every wall, every notebook, every piece of paper she could find was covered in her colors. Her dream was simple, to become an artist and show people how beauty can rise even from pain. But dreams, as they say, don't always get the support they deserve. Her father wanted her to study medicine. Her relatives said, "Art doesn't feed you." And slowly, their words became her doubts. Still, Era kept painting. Late at night, after everyone slept, she'd sit by the window, sketching under the soft light of her desk lamp. Those colors were her only way of breathing when the world felt too heavy. One day, she finally gathered courage to show her work at a small exhibition. It was supposed to be her first step forward, but that day turned into the hardest day of her life. The night before the exhibition, a storm hit her town, her house roof leaked, and her paintings, all of them, were ruined. Hours of effort, weeks of sleepless nights, months of hope, gone in a few moments. She sat there, staring at the dripping colors melting into each other, and for the first time, she felt empty. The next morning, when her father saw her sitting silently, he said, "Maybe this is a sign, Era, maybe art isn't meant for you." Those words broke her more than the storm did. She didn't argue, she didn't cry, she just packed away her brushes and left them in a box under her bed. Days turned into weeks. The colors she once loved became strangers to her. She stopped painting, stopped dreaming, stopped believing. But sometimes, pain becomes the teacher life sends when no one else is listening. One afternoon, Era was walking home when she saw a little girl sitting on the roadside, trying to color a torn piece of paper with a broken crayon. The girl looked up and smiled at Era, saying, "My colors don't work anymore, but I'm still trying." That one line hit her like lightning. Era went home that evening, opened her old box of brushes, and held them again. Her hands trembled. Not from fear, but from memory. For the first time in months, she picked up her brush and painted. Not for anyone else, not for exhibitions or approval, but just to feel alive again, and something inside her awakened. Slowly, Era started painting small murals around her neighborhood, on walls that were cracked, on corners people ignored. Her art told stories of hope, of broken things made beautiful again. People began noticing. Children would stop and smile, old women would bless her work. And soon, the same town that once told her, "Art is useless," began calling her, "the girl who brings color back to life." One day, a local journalist featured her murals online. Within days, her pictures spread across the internet. Art communities started reaching out, and when she was invited to display her work in a national exhibition, Era just stood there, silent, tears in her eyes, because this time, she didn't need to prove anything. Her art had already spoken for her. Years later, when someone asked her, "What kept you going when everything ended?" Era smiled and said, "Because sometimes endings are just disguises for beginnings." Her journey became a reminder that life doesn't always follow the path we expect. Sometimes, it takes away everything we hold dear just to show us what we were truly made for. Era's colors didn't just return. They became brighter, deeper, wiser, and her story painted a truth we all forget, that when your world falls apart, you're not breaking, you're becoming something new. So if you're listening right now and you feel like your chapter has ended, remember, maybe it's not the end. Maybe it's the moment before your greatest beginning. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind you, even when everything ends, your heart still has one more color left to paint. Tell me in the comments, what's one dream you've paused, but your heart still believes in?